If you're watching, go ahead and say hi in the comments. Let me know you can hear me. We're going to start now. Hi, beloveds. My name is Tamala Malay. I'm your empowerment partner, professor, and psychic. And welcome to your empowerment place. This is my YouTube channel. It's my business. It is my service. It's my sacred work in helping people move from where they are to where they want to be. That can be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. It can be in relationships. It can be in anything. And today, with it being the the inauguration, everything that people are feeling today is January 20th, 2025. And things are not necessarily as we would have wanted them to be. So I'll say that differently. A president is being inaugurated today that half of the United States voting people did not vote for. It's a person that created some trauma the last time that they were the president, and the fact that every time they open their mouth, they generally create chaos, trauma, or drama. And that person is being re-elected or reinstalled, already elected, reinstalled as president today. There was a lot of talk about, boycotting the inauguration and all that. Well, my thought was, why don't we, instead of just boycott, why don't we actually get together and insert what we prefer, right? Because it doesn't do us as a human race any good to run away from the things that we don't like, okay? If it's dangerous, if it's hurtful, all of that, yes, we have to get away. We have to be safe. We have to put ourselves in the situation where we have some element of control over our environment, right? So that is necessary. But then once we have that, we need to figure out how we as individual people, take charge of our personal experience and move forward from that place, empowered, aligned, authentic, and in a way that we can show up as the person that we want to be. Okay. And so that's some of the stuff I want to talk about today. This is going to be recorded. So if you have to leave and come back, that's okay. I'm planning to stay until 1:30. If folks are asking questions, that's wonderful. I'll stay. Otherwise, I'm planning to end at 1. So I made a list of things that I wanted to talk about first, but please, this is intended to be a conversation. So please type in the chat your questions, even if you're watching the replay, because I'm going to come and do these lives more frequently, because I want to build a community and a space on this channel where we can speak truth about all the things that are happening in our everyday lives, so that we are not subject to the lies, illusions, and delusions that are put out into the world to create chaos, to create drama, and to create trauma, because we don't want that. Okay. So let me just check the channel and make sure that there's sound. If you have, yep, there's sound. So go ahead and comment, say hi, and let's get started. So the first thing that I really want to talk about is Trump, is the election, is how people are feeling right now around this, and some numerology things. Okay, so I'll start with the numerology. So Trump was 45. He was the 45th president. And so as 45, 4 plus 5 is 9. And 9, for me, in my work, 9 is an ending. We're wrapping things up, right? We're closing the loops, okay? Then Biden was elected, was the 46th president. 6 plus 4 is 10. That's a 1. That's a potential. In my work, a 1 is potential. So there was a lot of potential in his presidency about things that could happen. He had a lot of intentions for what he wanted to do, how he wanted to show up, things he wanted to do, including elevating Kamala Harris to be president. That was one of the things his soul desired to do. And it didn't work out. So now Trump is going to be the 47th president as well, which means 4 plus 7 is 11. 11 is a master number, it's a power number. It's about transformation. In my work, it's about transformation, it's about embodiment, it's about big changes that are designed to align us with our authenticity and our integrity. And if you've watched my stuff before, you'll know that my guides were always talking about it was intended that Kamala be the president. Okay, that was the intention. But in order for that to happen, everybody needed to vote, and basically that the numbers that we've heard are astounding for how many people did not vote. And so the people, they didn't vote. Well, there's nothing that anybody can do about that. There's nothing the universe can do about that, because we are the people that have free will, right? Now, once she didn't win, and there was some, shady things that allegedly happened. We'll find out more about those in the next year or two. It's not going to make a difference because the swearing in is happening today. And so we're moving forward from today. So as the 47th president, I'm going to say this differently. If Kamala had been elected as the 47th president, that 11 would have correlated into a forward movement that would have helped us move more quickly and easily into us woo-woo people calling 5D. Community, cooperation, participation with one another, equity, equality, everybody's treated the same, right? That was the ideal. It didn't happen, okay? And because it didn't happen, we've chosen to do it the hard way. So now we have Trump as the president that is being inaugurated today, as both the ending at 45 and the beginning at 11, 9/11, for this new transformation. With Kamala, it would have been easier, but things would not necessarily have been resolved. It just would have been an easier path. With this path that was chosen for 47 to be Trump, it's now we're still going to have to do the same work. It's just going to be more difficult, meaning it's going to require our emotional, mental, spiritual, energetic resources. Okay. Sorry, it's like 9 degrees outside and my nose is running today. I got the heat on. So ignore my nose. So it's going to require a lot more effort for us to come into community and unity and cooperation with each other, because all of these people that voted for Trump, voted for that agenda for whatever reason, and there's a plethora of reasons that they voted for him. The truth is all of those people are going to have to come to terms with their part as part of the problem. Okay. Because, and here's the thing, no party is perfect. There's good and bad on both. But with all of the information, all of the knowledge, all of the clarity was out there about the criminal activity, about the less than integrous way things were handled previously, the way things were talked about, the abuses that were done in the past. There was more than enough evidence for people to make a judgment call on who they wanted to be their leader. And they chose accordingly. And for those that chose Trump now have placed themselves in alignment with everything that he is going to create, that he has created up until now, and that he will create moving forward. That's going to include a lot of pain and suffering for a lot of different people. And they are all going to have karmic consequences based on that, meaning they're going to get the kickback. And for example, if you are a union worker, if your family draws a pension, and he has already said, and the platform has already said, that they eventually want to bust the unions, they want to get them out because it costs companies money. Unions have to pay people well. They have to give them good health care. They have to give them good working conditions. All that costs money. And many companies don't like that. They'd rather exploit their workers, right? In order to make more profits. The way they have to do that is to get rid of unions. If you voted for Trump, knowing, because you had to know, because it's everywhere, that he and the people in his particular power circles and the Republican platform don't want unions in businesses, big businesses, and you voted for that, what you've done is you voted against your own self. If you or your family is a beneficiary of a union. So what that means is you voted against yourself. So the kickback that you're going to receive from that is going to be multiplied threefold, tenfold, 100-fold back to you because you are incongruent with yourself. You made a choice to vote for a person who is going to, or said, or is aligned to taking away your financial stability. So what does that mean? It means you specifically, whether he does it with unions or not, you chose doing away with your own financial stability. So you are going to see in the next, however long this lasts, the doing away of your own specific financial stability. I want you to be clear. You chose that. And so once you make a choice, the way karma works, which is just the consequences of your choices, you made a choice, and now the universe is going to give you the results of that choice. You chose to have a lack of financial stability. And so that can show up for you as you lose your job, the unions get taken away, housing prices or food prices go up, the stock market crashes. There are tons of different ways that can show up. But the result that you have told the universe that you want is you want financial instability. And they're going to say, as you wish, here you go. That's what you asked for. And they're going to give it to you. So it's important if you were one of the people that voted for Trump, whether you made excuses for him or you just said, yes, I agree with everything, doesn't matter. If you voted for him, you chose everything he stands for. Okay? You need to sit down and look at what that means and be prepared for the kickback that you're going to receive from that. Karmically, you don't have a choice. It is going to bite you in the ass because you asked for it. Okay? And it's not anybody's fault. You chose it. It's a choice you made. So you don't get to complain. You don't get to whine and cry. You don't get to say, oh, poor me. You chose it. Okay? Now, the choice was something that you had the opportunity to make of your free will, and you made it. So buckle up. You're going to get it. Now, for people who didn't vote for Trump, that doesn't mean that they're going to get by scot-free, that they're not also going to have chaos or trauma or drama, that they're not also going to have financial hardships. That's going to come in differently for them because they didn't choose to align with it. Okay. And we'll talk about that on a different video. But right now we're talking about how do we empower ourselves right now moving forward. Okay. If you voted for Trump, you need to be prepared for the kickback from the universe from your choices. So you need to start paying attention to how much savings you have, start taking care of your health, do all the things that you can do to kind of shore up your family's resources, because in whatever way, whatever thing you agree to, maybe it was just abortion. Maybe it was a business. Maybe you thought he would help with the deficit, which means you didn't pay attention to his first presidency. Whatever it is, whatever validation that you use for yourself, hi Melanie, that you use for yourself, whatever that validation is how the universe is going to initially kick back to you. Okay. And if you have questions about this, just drop them in. There's like million different ways. There's 40 million different ways. That's how many voted for him, right? Everybody's different. And so the way it's going to show up for everybody is different. However, it is going to be aligned with your vote. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. So the second thing I want to talk about is how are we going to be personally empowered with things that are out of our control? Okay. The first thing that we need to do when we're in an experience where things are happening around us, outside of us, that are out of our control, the first thing we can do is drop down into ourself, into the present moment, into our heart space of neutrality. And if you don't know about that, I have a class on my teaching platform. I'll link that below after the live. And you drop into that heart space of neutrality. And as you're in that space, you bring in that issue, that problem, that trauma or drama, that lie, that illusion or delusion. You bring that in and you ask, what is in my power to do about this? What is in my power to do about this? Because remember, Everything that you have control over, you have power over, you have the ability to change. And it doesn't mean that you can change this for the whole world, but it does mean that you can change it for you. And the way that you change it for you is by acknowledging the situation. We don't want to ignore it. It's something real that's happening, right? We want to acknowledge it. We want to get into that heart space of neutrality and find out accurate information. And that accurate information is going to be about what we can do, right? Action oriented. To change our thoughts, our emotions, our words, or our actions that will create a different result for us. Okay. So that doesn't mean we're just sitting still, doesn't mean we're just sitting around praying all day or we're meditating all day. No, we pray or meditate to get advice from our higher self or from source, from God, from the universe, from Goddess, whoever you get your information from, that is aligned for you, that may or may not be the same for everybody else, but it's aligned for you. And then you take that advice, that counsel, those suggestions, and you start doing them in your thoughts, your emotions, your words, and your actions. Okay. If everything that is happening for you is inside your head, right? If your primary problem right now is you got all this noise happening in your head and it is loud and strong and traumatizing and it's going in circles, that means you are not in charge of your thoughts. Your thoughts are in charge of you. And so you need to get in and learn how to manage your thoughts. It's one of the things I teach. If you're having emotions and you're just feeling all the feelings and you can't do anything because you're feeling all the feelings, okay, that could be two things. It could either be you don't know how to manage your emotions, which again, your emotions are managing you, which is not okay. You need to learn how to manage your emotions. I do teach that. Or it could be that you're an empath and you're feeling your emotions and everybody else's, which means you don't have good boundaries. And if you don't have good boundaries, you're going to have a lot of problems. And so you have to learn how to have really super good boundaries. Again, something else I teach. So if you are in a financial situation, which a lot of people are in, where they're barely getting by or not getting by, there's been here where I am, hurricane happened in the mountains, right? It skipped over the coast and landed in the mountains and really created a lot of trauma, a lot of devastation. A lot of people lost their jobs and their income. If you're in places that have other natural disasters, the fires in California, the hurricanes, the tornadoes, right? The flooding, all of the things that are happening. That doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. Okay. All it means is you're in a place where human life and the earth itself are not entirely compatible right now. Okay. That can change with our partnership with the planet itself, including dealing with climate change. Okay, dealing with all of the things that are creating these misalignments. Okay, a lot of them are caused by humans. And the humans are causing it because of greed, selfishness, self-centeredness, and all the things that keep us separated from each other and from the planet. So I want to be really super clear. We are never, ever, ever going to heal our relationships with each other or with the planet through capitalism. It can't happen. Okay? It can't happen because the entirety of the agreement with capitalism is taking from one and giving to another. Now, some people say, no, it's about free trade. No, it's not free trade. Free trade means everybody has an equal opportunity to trade among themselves and get the highest value that is reasonable and that is market value, right? That is reasonable and equitable and valuable for everybody concerned. Everybody's getting treated well. Everything's working well. That's free trade, or the energetic definition of free trade. Okay. Capitalism is not that. Capitalism is greed. It is taking from and then giving to. It is building on the backs of the oppressed, like slaves, or workers that are treated like slaves, that are paid low wages, that are not reaping the benefits that all of these corporate leaders are benefiting from. So understand, we are never going to get to 5D unity, consciousness, cooperation. We're never going to get to that through capitalism. It can't happen. So does that mean capitalism is bad and terrible and we need to do away with it? We are not structured, the United States specifically, but the whole global economy is not structured to just instantly do away with it. Okay. Everything would collapse. Does it need to be changed? Absolutely. Can the focus be changed? Absolutely. There are companies out there that have already been changing how they do business, giving their employees ownership in the company, paying everybody a really super good living wage. It's already being done. And the companies that are making news, oh my gosh, they're making news because they're paying their people a living wage and a good, healthy wage and sharing the company profits with the people who are actually bringing in the profits. They're really successful and they're doing well. And so more companies need to start doing things like that. Is it going to happen? Little companies will continue to do it. Will the bigger companies like Amazon and Facebook and so forth, will they start doing it? Not a chance in hell. Not a chance. Not right now, because they have aligned themselves with the oligarchy. They have aligned themselves with more and more and more power, right? That's how they got where they are right now. They've been attached to and gripping a hold of power. And they're having, in their own ways, because it's different for all of them, right? All the big companies, all the power hungry companies, right? That are doing more than their fair share of taking, and they're not doing their fair share of giving. Showing up differently for each of them. But the idea, the foundation is still true. It's greed. It's calculated. They're doing it on purpose. They could choose to do it differently, and they haven't, and they won't right now. until something huge changes. And that huge thing that is going to change is that it needs to be more profitable for them to stop doing it. It needs to be more profitable for them. And that could be money, that could be safety, it could be customer opinion. It needs to be more profitable in one or more of those ways for them to change. Because why would they change? They wouldn't. That would be crazy to change. So those are things that are outside of our control. We're not going to change Facebook by just not being on it. Now, if 100 million people got off of it, that might change it. And so what do? Well, we have to make a decision. Like for me, I really don't want to be on Facebook or Instagram anymore. And I don't have a big enough audience yet of people on YouTube that are willing to come over here and have the conversation over here, as opposed to having the conversation on Facebook or Instagram. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be working on that and figuring that out, because I don't have any desire to continue to be on those two platforms at all. They're not aligned for me. The company's objectives are not aligned for me. Okay. So I'm going to figure out what's best for my personal life, my professional life, to get off of those and go somewhere that is more aligned for me. Now, is there anything out there right now that's perfectly aligned? No. But I know, based on information that the CEO of Facebook and Instagram has said out their mouth, I know they're not the right fit for me. So I'm going to leave. Now, does that mean you have to? No. If it's aligned for you, go right ahead. But just understand what you're aligning with. Okay. Again, over here on YouTube, I love YouTube. It's owned by Google. Is Google perfect? No. Are there things about them that I don't agree with? Probably. And honestly, I haven't done a really deep dive on them yet. But their CEO didn't come out last week and tell me how they have given up their integrity. And the Facebook, Instagram one did. Right? So we go with the information that we have, and we make choices based on that information. And my choice is not just, I'm going to just turn it off and be done immediately now and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to be with it. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to take it into my heart space of neutrality, get some aligned answers, figure out how I want to move forward, and start moving forward and doing something different. Because when we're asked to change, either by ourselves, by our discomfort, by our support teams that may be human or may be spirit, when we're asked to make a change, it is always going to require us to do it with integrity, within our realm of metabolic capacity, what's going to be okay for us. It's not going to send us into a spiral. That's not going to overload our nervous system. That's not going to self-sabotage our business or ourselves. But instead, it's going to drop us into a state of being purposeful in our choices. Because that's really where our power is, right? When we are purposeful in our choices, we're standing in a place of alignment and integrity. And we get to legitimately be the creator of our own experience in that moment. Where are we moving forward? What do we want to do? How do we want to show up? Who do we want to be? And when we're making those choices, that's when we're planning and then taking steps and moving that into our reality. We start doing those things. We start thinking those things. We start feeling those things. And then we become them, right? That's how it works. So while we're dealing with everything that's going on right now that may be outside of us and outside of our control and may feel loud and overwhelming and all that, remember the stuff outside of us is not the stuff that we are required to be in charge of. We are required to be in charge of everything inside of us. We are required to be in charge of everything inside of us, which means we are the ones that manage our thoughts. We're the ones that manage our emotions. We're the ones that manage our words. We're the ones that manage our actions. We're the ones that manage our boundaries. We're the ones that manage our choices, which then means we're managing our karmic consequences. We're in charge of who we want to be and how we want to show up. And in doing that, that is the entirety of our personal empowerment. Because even if you are standing in a place that feels incredibly disempowered, you still have a choice. You have a choice about who do I want to be in this moment? Do I want to be the victim or do I want to be the person who takes the next right step that's going to help me get out of victimization and into personal empowerment? And I'm not speaking from nonsense. I'm speaking from actual life events, real things. I've been in a massively abusive marriage. I've been in a relationship where I was terrified for 3 years that I was going to be murdered at any moment. I lived with that. And I got out of it by realizing nobody was going to come and save me. The cops got called. They did nothing. They arrested him, took him to jail. He was back home an hour later. Nobody was going to save me. Nobody was going to save my kids. I had to do it. And I did it by getting really crystal clear on who I wanted to be and how I wanted to move forward, because there were options. And the options were, the only options I thought I had for that 3 years was either he was going to kill me or I was going to have to kill him. And those were not acceptable options for me. And I decided I was going to figure out how to get out of this without anybody dying and without me going to jail. Nobody dies and I'm not going to jail. It's fine if he goes to jail. That was his choice. Okay, because he was doing a lot of inappropriate things. But I wasn't going to go to jail for killing him. And I had to figure it out. And it didn't come from, oh, suddenly I was this fully empowered person who had it all figured out and knew what to do. No, it came from making tiny little teeny choices and implementing those choices every single day and not allowing them to be negotiable. I had to take charge of my thoughts. I had to take charge of my emotions. I had to take charge of my words, and I had to take charge of my actions. And once I started doing that, I became the person driving my life and not him. I took my power back. And I have helped hundreds, probably over 1,000 by now, of people change and shift and move from their disempowered states into their empowered states. And here's the thing, nobody can do it for you. I can't do the work for you. Even if I could, it would be useless, because you're the one that has to manage your thoughts and emotions. I can't manage those for you. I can tell you how to do it. I can encourage you while you're doing it. I can hold you when you cry about it, but I can't do it for you. You got to do it. And the only way that you have the courage and the tenacity to do this, if you're in really beat down, victimized ways, is you have to hit rock bottom. In a lot of circumstances, that's what people have to do. They have to hit rock bottom. Like when I finally realized there were only two ways out, and neither one of those was acceptable to me, that was when I had the shift of opening up other possibilities, because I went, no, I'm not doing it. That is not happening. I won't have it. I said a bunch of 4-letter words. I felt a bunch of 4-letter words. Not happening. I'm not doing it. There has to be another way. And once I made that choice, there has to be another way because I'm not doing it these two ways, then the choices opened up for me because it was not negotiable. There had to be another way. And usually we get to that point of there's no other option when we've hit rock bottom. Do we have to wait till then? No. Do I wait until rock bottom now? No. Not at all. Sometimes I get it on the first go around. I get it. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 go arounds. But that's okay, because I'm not anywhere close to rock bottom anymore, which is really fabulous. So even though we're going to be experiencing through the next however long this presidency lasts, and I'm going to talk about that in a different video. But the reason that we really need to get clear on us managing our thoughts, our emotions, our words, and our actions, having really good boundaries, making really good aligned choices, is because everything that's going to go on outside of us is going to give us opportunities to be triggered, to feel like we're in the midst of drama or trauma, to feel separated or isolated, to feel endangered or victimized. And so we need to get our shit together so that what's happening in the world is not tossing us to and fro, because we know who we are. We know where our power is. We know what our alignment is. And anything other than that is not fucking negotiable. It's not negotiable. We're not going to be tossed to and fro. If we know who we are, we know what we want, we're choosing on purpose to be in alignment with that, and it's not negotiable. Now, we're going to have bad days? Absolutely. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. All transformation is difficult. All empowerment is difficult because it requires effort, because we're doing it in the 3rd dimensional experience. We're not doing transformation in 5D where everything is ease and flow. We're doing transformation in 3D where it's thick and hard. We're doing it at 40, where our thoughts and emotions are, where they can run rampant if nobody's in charge of them. They can run even more rampant if somebody outside of us is in charge of our thoughts and emotions. That's even worse. We're not doing that. So from now on, from this moment on, make the commitment to be in charge of your experience. Your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your actions, your boundaries. So you don't have to wait until it gets bad before you start making aligned choices that are not negotiable. Now, if you're going to wait till then, that's fine. You have free will. Go right ahead. Will I still be here to support you when you circle back around? Absolutely. But you're not going to be here in my community whining and crying after you've been told 1,000 times. You need to be responsible for your thoughts. Why are you still thinking that? Why are you still thinking that? What's a better choice? What's a choice closer to where you want to be? Is it going to take you 1,000 times to learn it? Yes. Is it going to take you 1,000,000 times? Every day, every thought, that's not my thought. I don't want that thought. I don't choose that thought. Yes, it will take 1,000,000 times for you to do that. 1,000,000 times. Go ahead and make peace with it. But the thing that's not welcomed in this community is you coming in 1,000 times with the poor me, I can't do it. Because this is the place for the people who are willing to try. You're willing to say, I want to be the one that's in charge of my life, and anything outside of me is not going to toss me around. And I'm going to trip and I'm going to fall. And it's going to be difficult, but I'm willing to do it. And on those times when you do fall down, we're going to pick you up. You're going to fall down and we're going to pick you up, and that's okay. But we're not going to be the place for you to show up and go, oh, poor me, and be told what to do about it. And you don't do anything about it. And you just go, oh, poor me, oh, poor me, oh, poor me. No, this is not that place. You will be called out on your bullshit here, because I love you enough to tell you the truth. And the truth is that nonsense is not okay. It's not okay. You are here to be empowered. You are not here to perpetuate your own victimhood. Okay? If you want to do that, this is not the place for you. If you want to learn how to be empowered because you don't know, and you want some support and encouragement, you want real truth, this is a place for you. Because the world outside of you does not manage you. You have to manage yourself. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of that soapbox. Okay. Again, leave any questions that you have about how to create your own personal empowerment moving forward. And next, I wrote down, let's talk about love and healing. Actually, they want to talk about something different. And when I say they, I mean my guides. So they want to talk about fitting in. So fitting in, oh, thanks, Melanie. She's a great pep talk. I hope so. I hope so. So thank you. See, the community supports me too. So thank you. Fitting in. So fitting in is a defense mechanism that we all do. where we think we'll be safer if we fit into a situation that causes us to make choices, to say things, to feel things, to think things, and to do things that are not necessarily aligned with who we want to be. Okay. Fitting in is always going to be disempowerment because you're trying to fit in to a space that may or may not be created for you. And so what I want to say about fitting in is don't try to fit in, just be. Be. Be who you are. Be who you want to be. Show up. And as you are being, the people that are yours are going to flock to you. The communications that you want to have are going to be organic. The relationships that you want to have with other people are just going to manifest themselves because you are showing up and you're being you, which then not only gives the universe, but gives the people around you the opportunity to say, oh, hey, I like this person. I want to go hang out with them some more. Or they say, I don't like that person. They're not for me. And then they move along, which is ideal. It is ideal for them to move out because you're not trying to fit into them and they're not trying to fit into you when y'all are two completely different things. You don't want that in your life. You never want to fit in. You want to be. And we'll talk a whole lot more about that in future videos. Okay. Next thing I have written down is speaking truth. I really want to talk about love and healing, but they're making me go down the list. Okay. So that one's actually next. All right. Speaking truth. So speaking truth is different for everyone. At soul level, I am divine truth and divine self-expression. So I have to speak the truth. Okay. It's what aligns me to who I am at soul level, who I was when I originated from source, and who I will always be through eternity. Okay. I have to speak truth. I have to communicate and share truth. Okay. Now, I used to share truth in inappropriate ways, in ways that hurt people's feelings, in ways that were creating a negative response. Now, when I speak truth, because I'm speaking truth from that heart space of neutrality, if I'm speaking truth from my head only, right? If I get in my head and I'm just speaking truth, I'm just that's when it can be hurtful. Okay. And that's not okay. That's not the person I want to be. So if I'm in my emotions and I'm just speaking truth from my emotions and they're just that also is not the person that I want to be because that's also hurtful. Okay. But if I am dropped down into that heart space of neutrality, which I am today, and I try to be almost all the time, I try to be, if I'm dropped into that heart space of neutrality, when I'm speaking truth, it is divine truth. It's not my opinion. It's not anything I'm trying to convince you to believe. It is what it is. It's truth. And you can't argue with truth because it is what it is. And so there's no friction. There's no judgment. There's no push and pull. It just is what it is. So I've had a lot of people ask me, how do you get away with saying all the things that you say? Because if I said them, I get in trouble. And it's because I'm not saying it. truth is being spoken, right? Tamala is not saying anything. Truth is getting spoken. And so when we are speaking truth, that is a whole different vibration than right? And so what you're going to find is, if you're someone like me who's aligned with divine truth, right? Then learning how to speak truth without friction is one of the highest gifts you can give yourself. It is something I teach. If you're not aligned to divine truth, maybe you're something else. Maybe you're divine creation. Okay. Maybe you're divine wisdom. There's lots of different things you could be. If you're one of those but you still know that you need to show up in a situation where truth is required, you can always access divine truth in that heart space of neutrality. Because truth is divine. So anytime we're in our heart space of neutrality, we have access to all the universal laws, all universal wisdom, all universal truth, and so forth, right? All of divinity, all of sacredness, all of, I'm going to say, our connection to all that is, that begins in that heart space of neutrality. And so as you drop into that heart space of neutrality and you practice and practice and practice and practice and practice, and it gets easier and quicker, as you drop into that heart space of neutrality, you don't have an opinion on this truth because you're not in your thoughts, you're not in your emotions, you're just connected to the truth. And the truth is the truth, and nobody can get mad at the truth. It just is. Right? And you're not going to argue about the truth because the truth is. And you're not going to defend the truth because the truth is. It just is. And so if you can get yourself into the position to where you can be neutral about sharing the truth with people, then it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to have those hard conversations with friends and family members and followers and whoever. Okay. If you're still attached to the truth that you believe, because truth is subjective, if you are really attached to your truth and nobody else's, you're going to have a problem. If you are really attached mentally or emotionally to how people respond to your truth, you're going to have a problem. If you're neutral about it and it just is, it just is. It exists. And I don't have to do anything with it or for it or about it. It just is. I don't care what you do with it. You don't care what I do with it. It just is. And so if you find yourself in conversations with people and you feel like you're speaking truth and you're getting feedback from the universe or the person that you're talking to in the form of arguments or power struggles or friction, understand you're not in that neutral space. And there's no power in struggle. There's no power in friction. All you're doing is starting a fire. You need to drop into that neutral space, find out what's really true, and then move from there. Okay. I talk a lot about this in my mentoring program. All right. So now we can talk about love and healing. Okay. So love and healing, and I'm going to talk about the next two things. I wrote down love and healing and helping. And then I wrote service and sacrifice. So we're going to kind of talk about all three of them together. So love and healing is a vibration that religion, I'm going to start there. Religion has told us that in order for us to be whatever our religion is, whatever that alignment is in the religion, whether it's to be a good Christian or whatever, right? Love and healing is what the religions have told us we have to participate in order to be good Christians, right? To have the label of good. And number one, I'm going to say it's bullshit, right? Number two, I'm going to say there's a misinterpretation of what love and healing is. Now, if you've worked with me, you know that love and healing is a resonance. It is a soul purpose, and it is not everybody's. It is maybe 10% of the population on the planet, 10 to 12%, maybe it's less than that percent of my clients, but I haven't worked with the billions of people on the planet, so I can't tell you exactly. But there's enough of other divine energy centers, divine soul purposes, divine alignments, that it can't be more than 10 to 12% of the population, because everybody else, all the rest of them are here too. Okay. Now I'm going to say confusion. It's really also a warping of, manipulation of. Love and healing was created specifically. The confusion was, I need to love and heal other people because that's what makes me holy and sacred and a good person. Okay. The warping was, you have to do this so that you don't become a fully empowered person and take control of your life. Right? Okay. Because if you are misaligned and you are doing love and healing instead of who you're supposed to be, like for me, I did that all my life. I tried to be love and healing, and I wasn't love and healing. I was truth and self-expression, right? Totally different things. And you can't make aligned choices. You can't have an aligned life. You can't have an empowered experience if you're doing the wrong thing, number one. Number two, love and healing was told to us as a way to keep us disempowered, so that we would subjugate ourselves to other people, to those that are outside of us. Well, if you love these people, if you love me, if you love your parents, if you love your church, you'll give up your opinions, your thoughts, your integrity. You'll give up your power and do what we tell you to do. If you want to heal somebody, that means you have to be sick yourself, or you have to take on their burdens. All that's bullshit. You don't do that. You don't need to do that. Not love and healing is not that. Not any of that. Okay. When we love other people, the highest form of love that we can give to anyone is our own personal integrity. The highest form of love is to let people have the consequences of their own choices. Sit with that for a minute. The highest form of love and healing is to let people receive the consequences for their choices, and then acknowledge with them, this is a result of your choices. Do you want to make a different choice? Now, if you want to support someone or yourself in love and healing, that's a great way to do it. It's a great way to start. Do you want to make a different choice? Do you want a different result? If you want to make a different result, you have to make a different choice, right? You got to do something different to get there. So what are you going to do different? That is huge love and healing. Huge. Because it takes a person out of their victimization, out of their pain, out of their pressure, out of their whatever, and gives them their power back and says, what do you want different? And how do you want to create that difference? And then if you're in that relationship with them, you can hold that with them by asking them, what choices are you doing? Did you make the choice you said you were going to make? Did you follow through? Did you do the work? That's the very best love and healing you can do. And there's a whole lot to say, a whole lot more to say about that, but we'll do that another time. So that flows right into helping. So one of the biggest things, and I learned this actually when I was teaching real estate. I've been a real estate broker for over 25 years, actually 24 years, 24 years this year. And I owned a real estate school. I'm still a licensed instructor in Georgia, blah, blah, blah. But I learned this huge life-changing lesson when I was listing and selling real estate, working with buyer clients, working with seller clients, and also teaching new realtors and real estate professionals. And that is no helping. No helping. We don't help. Because all the things that people were doing to help were things that were going to cause them to lose their real estate license. No helping. So if a person needed something, you would have to decide, is this a customer service or is this client level service? Okay. If they hadn't signed a buyer brokerage agreement, they weren't a client, so you couldn't give them client level service, right? That was a contracted, agreed upon service. You couldn't give that to somebody who was not that, right? And people would try to do that. They would try to give them the client level service because that's who they were. They wanted to provide that top quality service, but they weren't comfortable with asking people to sign the contract, right? And so, but they really wanted to help them. You can't help people that are not your people to help. Number one. And number two, you can't help people because helping is not the same thing as service or serving people. Okay. You serve your clients based on your contract. Everybody knows the rules. Everybody knows what we're doing, and they get client level service. They get all the help, but it's not help. It's service. You're doing the work. Okay. You're doing the work. For somebody who is not that, helping them disempowers them, because what you're doing is you're telling them, I'm going to give you all the benefits, all the client level stuff, but you're not really. You're misleading them. You're misdirecting them. You're making them believe they're getting something that they're not going to give. And I hope that makes sense. Helping is the equivalent of disempowering. What you're doing is you're saying, number one, I don't think you can do it on your own, so I'm going to do it for you. Total disempowerment. Or number two, I'm going to help you do this thing because I can, which then will lead you to believe that I'm going to keep helping you do it forever and ever and ever. Also extremely disempowering. The better way to do that, if there's somebody that you want to help, is shift into service, which means they have to shift into service. They have to be a service member. They got to be part of the process. Okay. You're not doing the work for them. You can help lead them and guide them and support them, right? But you got parameters. There's really good boundaries. There's limitations that are built in and set up for the benefit of all that are involved. And it's very clear what everybody's responsibilities are. And everybody has to do their part. So when you're helping, you're hurting. Because you're doing helping is outside of those perimeters and boundaries. And we don't do that. We don't do that. We only empower people. And empowerment comes from informed consent. It comes from everybody knowing what everybody's jobs or roles are, what the expectations are, and us moving forward in a cooperative experience. Right? Now, the next thing is service and sacrifice. So what's the difference here? Service, we just talked about. Service has parameters. Sacrifice does not. Sacrifice means I'm going to give what's mine to you to help you while I'm depleting myself. And we don't do that. Blech, like I need to just get that out of my energy altogether. We don't do that shit no more. I did that for ages. For family members, for children, for husbands, for clients, for customers, I did all that. As a wife, as a mother, as a female business owner, as an employee. I did all that because that's what I was told to do. In order to be a good girl, I needed to sacrifice myself for other people. And it wasn't until I matured, I learned through all of these lessons that I realized sacrifice is one of those things that keeps us completely disempowered. Because sacrifice means we are giving up something in order to serve others. Now, if you know anything about what I teach, I tell you we only give from the overflow, which means we only give from what overflows our cup. Everything that's inside our cup is ours. Nobody gets that. Not our children, not our spouses. Nobody gets that. Our cup is ours. And that cup could be our financial resources. It could be our mental or emotional resources, our physical resources. It can be our prayers and intentions. It can be anything, right? But it's our cup. We have a cup. And once our cup is full and it overflows, the overflow is what we can then parse out to other people based on our intentions. And when I say other people, I mean other people or experiences or intentions, right? But none of that comes out of our cup. Our cup is for us, period. Not negotiable, no matter what. Because we can't function well if we are not fully personally empowered. If we're taking from our cup, we're sacrificing. Sacrificing is always personal harm. You are doing something against your own good in that situation. Don't do it. We don't take from our cup. Well, what if somebody comes to me and I'm exhausted? What if somebody needs me to help them and I'm exhausted? Your cup is not running over. Tell them no, you're tired. But they need it. We don't help. Remember, we're not helping. And we're also not sacrificing. Because if we, in this situation, turn to helping, but they need it, we move into helping. In this situation, we'll be sacrificing our own health, our own energetic resources, our own mental or emotional resources, right? We would be doing self-harm. And we don't do that shit no more. Okay? So you only give from your overflow. There's no sacrifice ever required or warranted in any situation for any reason. If you have gotten yourself into a situation, which I did for, God, more than 45 years, where you were constantly sacrificing yourself for other people, for the good of the family, or for blah, 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 you can get out. You don't have to do that no more. You have to build the skills to learn how to have really good boundaries, to know what you want, to drop into that heart space of neutrality and get real aligned answers for yourself and yourself alone, because it all has to start with you. And as you're doing this alignment, you begin to notice your cup filling up a little bit. Hey, I got a couple of drops in my cup today. Look at that. Don't go running and giving it to somebody else, because that's going to be your inclination. Don't do it. Them little drops are yours. Keep them. Get used to having something in your own cup, because it's going to feel foreign. It's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel like, oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. You're not. You absolutely are not. You are doing the only thing that you're required to do when you're in a body, when you're incarnated, which is to learn how to be a fully empowered human. Do your best, right? When we say we're going to do our best, it means I'm going to learn how to be a fully empowered human in this moment, doing this thing. That's what that means. And that starts with learning how to fill your own cup up first before you start giving it out to other people. Does that mean you're going to have to stop everything that you're doing right now and start completely over? No. You can transition. Like I said in the beginning, I'm transitioning off of Instagram and Facebook and over here to YouTube. It's a process. You don't have to tear up your life in order to fix it. We don't do that shit no more. Right? Instead, what we do is drop into that heart space of neutrality. We make really good aligned decisions for ourselves. We get the support in place to help us stay on track, to support us, to remind us, to keep us really integrous. We pay attention to our thoughts. We pay attention to our emotions. We pay attention to our actions. We pay attention to our words. We start refining all of that closer and closer to who it is I want to be. How do I want to move forward? What is not negotiable for me? Start upholding those boundaries. Start really stepping into your own personal wholeness, which is what personal empowerment is. Stepping in and embodying your own personal wholeness. And when you do that, you find that you have more power than you've ever dreamed of. You have the ability to actually change your circumstances. Once I made that decision about my ex-husband, that it was not negotiable anymore for me, it was like that. And I was out. Me and my children were out. I mean, weeks. Shifted. I decided. And once I decided, everything kind of fell into place. Because the universe is like, when's she going to decide? When's she going to decide? We're waiting. Because I kept asking for it. I kept asking to be delivered, asking for us to be out of that situation. And the universe was there waiting. Come on, come on, come on. And once I decided, and it was not negotiable, it just went and fell into place. Was it easy? No. Did I have to be a hard ass and stand my ground and be really clear and not negotiable? Absolutely. And did it work? 1,000%. And it's worked every single time I've done it. And it works every single time my clients do it. You don't have to know the big picture. Okay. People always say you got to know where you're going. Yes, you do. But you don't have to know the end result. You just have to know the direction. Okay. You don't have to say, oh, this is my big, huge intention for my whole life, and this is what I want to be. If you have one of those, great. If you don't need it. It's who do I want to be in this moment? When my child tells me something they need advice on, and they're grown, they're in their 30s, they don't need me to be their mama, right? Who bosses them around and tells them what to do, right? They need someone who is going to validate their experience and give them the opportunity to make a really aligned choice. That's what they're looking for. And so I know when I'm in that situation, who I need to be to show up for them in that situation that way. That's very different than me showing up for my grandbabies, or me showing up with a spouse or partner, or me showing up with the puppies, or me showing up with the land spirits, or me showing up with my neighbors, or me showing up at the grocery store. But overall, I know who I want to be. I want to be a person who speaks the truth, who shares integrity and personal empowerment, who encourages people to be the very best, highest vibrational self they can possibly be in every moment, and who won't walk away or shy away from doing the hard work and from saying what needs to be said. That's who I want to be. And so every moment I'm aligning that. Who do I want to be in this moment? What's the highest vibrational truth I can say at this moment? What's the best I can bring into this moment that's going to be most integrous for me and the people around me? And sometimes it's going to look like telling people to fuck off. It's necessary sometimes. And sometimes it's going to be, come here, let me give you a hug. Okay? And everything in between. So we got about 5 minutes left. I hope that this has been really super helpful for you, especially as an alternative. I know people were looking for different things to do today during this time. I hope that this has been useful. It's been helpful. Again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Share this video with anybody that you think could be helped with any of this information. I'm going to be doing these multiple times a week. If there are times of the day that are better for you. If there's days of the week that are better for you, put those in the comments or in the chat. Let me know so that I can show up for you in ways that are aligned for me, but that also are going to serve the majority of folks, because that's my point, right? Doesn't do any good. I'm not out here speaking to the void. I'm out here speaking to the people who need to understand and know and embody their personal empowerment, because that's who I came here to serve. That's who I'm looking for. So let's do a quick little grounding meditation right now. If you're listening to this and you're driving or doing something that requires your attention, just pause it. And when you get where you're going or you're stopping work, you can do it. But let's just settle in. We're going to drop down into our heart space. If you know your heart space of neutrality, go there. If you don't, just gather all of your attention and bring it down into your heart space. And we're going to call all of our attention back from all the places that it is, from our past, our present, and our future. And we're going to allow all of that we have put out into the world, we're going to allow all of that to just gently flow back to us. And as it comes back, it's going to come through our force fields, our protective fields that we have around us. And it's all going to be stripped clear so that as it returns to us, it's clean, it's integrous, and it's aligned for us. Any contaminations that are removed are swept up in a violet flame, so that it's transformed into fertilizer for Mother Earth. And so as our energy, our intentions, our thoughts and emotions that we put out into the world, as all of that returns to us in this present moment, we just find ourselves settling in to a state of wholeness. And it's a simple state that doesn't require us to do anything other than to be. Allow yourself to settle into your body, into your tailbone, into your feet and legs. And allow your body to be filled by your own energetic resources. Your feet and your legs and your hips, your belly and your back, your chest, your arms and your fingers and hands, your neck and head, and your own energetic resources are going to pour out the top of your head like a fountain. And it's going to coat you and cover you in the highest vibrational alignment you have available right now in this moment. And it's going to fill up your emotional body, which is like a bubble around you. It's going to fill up your mental body, which is also like a giant bubble around you. It's going to fill up all of the fields, your auric field and so forth that are around you. And you're going to be whole and complete unto yourself. And as you settle into this wholeness, allow a circle of diamonds to encrust your biggest outward bubble. And these are diamonds of protection, and they reflect away anything that is not your wholeness. So nothing can penetrate this except your own aligned energetic resources. There's a connection at the top that goes directly to source of the universe. There's a connection at the bottom that grounds you into Mother Earth. And you are in your diamond bubble, whole and complete unto yourself. Love can pass both ways, meaning love can enter and love can leave. But this is divine love, that divine, integrous, holy, and empowered love. As I send you on your way today, know that I love you very much. I'm grateful for you joining me today. Please subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Leave a comment. If you're watching the replay, then please type replay in the comments so that I know when you watched it. Leave your questions. Let me know what days and times are great for you for these lives. And the questions I'll probably answer on pre-recorded videos that you can watch anytime. So I love you. Take care of you. Know that you are the creator of your experience, that you deserve your wholeness and integrity, and you are loved beyond measure. I'll see you next time.